I love Crash Bandicoot.
I fucking hate Crash Bandicoot!
Well, will you look at that. Crash Bandicoot is back. Mind you, I never really played Crash as a kid. I was always more of a Rayman guy myself. Well, that, and I never owned a PlayStation 1 because I was poor. But hey, having nostalgia goggles is a big no-no anyways. So without further ado, let's start the review! At a time when every developer on this planet is attempting to shoehorn in a battle royale mode into their games, it's nice to see somebody try to bring back a genre that's dormant. And what genre of games is not more dead than 3D platformers? Crash Bandicoot N.sane Trilogy is a collection of classic PlayStation 1 games developed from the ground up with
state-of-the-art, next-gen visuals and graphics.
What does that even mean?
And let me tell you what, these visuals will make your face melt.
Sorry.
And I know what you guys are about to say, graphics are great and all.
But what's the story? I want to know the lore behind that ship crash over there.
Crash raped and killed the entire crew and rammed the ship into Wampa Island?
Whoa, it's just like Dark Souls.
But enough of this tomfoolery, and let's get to the game.
Now, I believe it's only fair for me to talk about each game separately because they do play quite differently from one another. So,
Let the bloodbath begin!
I wanna die.
I think it's safe to say that Crash 1 is probably going to be the hardest one of the trilogy for new players. I know it was for me.
Sir, we got the Bandicoot in our sights. Do you want to launch a full military strike on him?
Yes.
A lot of people ascribe the game's difficulty to the unclear depth perception and weird landing detection. And it is at first, but once you get used to it, you start to realize that the game is very methodical and requires a lot of precision when it comes to its jumps. One slip up and it will lead to you falling to your death. But this almost pedantic way of getting through a level is what makes the game satisfying. Seriously, completing a level without dying a single time makes you feel like you're on top of the world.
Shut the fuck up!
It can be a bit trial and error at times though, because you have to know the obstacle beforehand, but it's manageable. The real cheap bullshit comes in once you get to a level called the High Road, and it's only cheap because the game doesn't tell you a vital mechanic that you lose momentum when you try to align your jump properly while bouncing off the turtle. Would have been nice to know before I died 50 times in this area. But hey, I'm playing video games here, so I'm a fucking loser with too much time on his hands by default anyways.
What?
But other than that, the game's great. In my opinion, it has the best level design out of the whole collection. There are barely any filler levels, you just jump and spin. And honestly, that's all I need. Plus, it has a gradual build-up. It goes from jungles and native villages to industrial complexes and castles. There are boss fights, of course. Some are easy, whereas others are... fucking...
Why did Crash Bandicoot beat up that morbidly obese man?
Ha! That will teach you to live off of wealth care.
And the music? Oh my god, is it memorable! Or maybe it's because I died a billion times and now it's ingrained into my skull till the great Lord in heaven takes me. Sweet dear Jesus, it's happening!
I'm going to heaven!
You didn't get all the gems.
Please stop.
Crash 2 is a bit of a different story though. The game is not as difficult as the first one. However, it makes up for it with the inclusion of new mechanics. Now Crash is a lot more mobile because he has a slide ability, which also gives him the opportunity to cancel into a jump that has more altitude, making the platforming require less precision. On top of that, you can cancel your slide into a spin, which gives him faster movement from the get-go. And that's the thing, Crash 2 may be not as hard as its predecessor, however I'd be lying if I said it's not enjoyable. Because making these big jumps that were not possible in Crash 1 is stupidly fun, especially when the time trials encourage you to do so. Except when people are not hacking the leaderboards, of course. And remember when I said the game is not as difficult? Well, the ass fucking will commence shortly after once you try to get all the gems, because some levels are just downright mean.
What the? Who made this?
As for the boss fights, They're mostly piss-ass easy, with the exception of fuck you, Tiny Tiger, you piece of shit, fuck! In terms of levels, there are a few more gimmicky levels compared to Crash 1, but they're mostly non-intrusive, and some of them can be quite fun.
Which unfortunately is foreshadowing for what's about to come.
This game stinks.
Okay. Why in God's name there are so many gimmicky levels in Crash Free? Seriously, there are jet ski levels, there are tiger levels, there are motorcycle levels, there are underwater levels. And the worst part is, why are you making me play as Coco?
I want to play as Crash. I don't want to play as Smelly Cunto.
Sure, you get new abilities, like a double jump and rocket launcher?
Rocket launcher!
But because you forced me to play as Coco, which was only optional in the previous games, no, fuck you, F-.
Thank you, Mr. Pirate.
So, is the N.sane Trilogy worth your hard-earned money? And the answer is...
Hey, where are the white women at?
yes! I actually really enjoyed my time with this collection, and I highly recommend it. Well, Crash 1 and 2, that is. I think both of these games have something different to offer. To add even more, the port is actually quite competent. It's not the mecca of PC ports, but it does have a decent amount of visual options, and most importantly,
60 FPS.
and if you fiddle around in your graphics card options, you can even make it run at an unlocked frame rate. Plus, the load times on PS4 will make you want to shorten your lifespan. So if you can, get the PC version and have a good old Crash Bandicoot time.
I am one with the orange marsupial. I am Crash Bandicoot.
Fuck this game.